Let's take a look at some prototype Bionicle sets from 2005. Some are cool, some are weird, but all of them are so interesting to look at. Some of them might even give you some inspiration for your next Bionicle mock as well. Also, the prototype images of this Bionicle set, they are my favorite prototype images ever. I wish the prototype was real. You're gonna want to see what that one looks like. Stay tuned. So let's dive in and take a look. We'll start off with an early version of the Visorak design now. These big, bulky designs, it's kind of cool. Makes them look a bit more like an aggressive beetle or a wild boar, which isn't really fitting for the spider bug-like look that they had, but it's something different. These chunky feet are also rather unique. It looks like they're just using big tire pieces, but slapping some claws onto the front. Oh, the crazy things those LEGO designers do in the prototype stages. And then we have these images. The Visorak get a lot smaller here, but I love that they use the Borok windscreens for their heads. But these windscreen pieces, or the Borok like shells for the heads, whatever you want to call them, these ones, they've got all sorts of like details added to the top, like bumps on this green one and this very interesting pattern on the dark red one. Would have honestly been really cool pieces if that actually was what they used. But I guess they wanted to play with newer pieces and make brand new designs instead of just riffing off of older parts, which was probably the right thing to do at the end of the day. And we can also see the use of a cut Vaki weapon to make these silver pincers on the dark red one here. I think that's actually quite nice looking. Yes, they're cutting pieces, but it does look cool. And plus, just like a tiny chibi version of a Visorak, it's really cute. These are adorable. I guess they wanted them to be a little bit more sinister, so that's maybe why they changed it up. But I really like this design. It's pretty easy to probably recreate these with existing pieces. You'd have to substitute a few things and maybe use some more modern pieces to achieve a similar look, but it's possible. Now here's a few prototype images of the Toa Hordika. Right off the bat, we can see that Matau's original mask had Vakama's mask, but in dark green. I wonder if this somehow influenced Kazani getting these exact same pieces in this color in his set. Yeah, maybe the prototype dark green masks that he used here, they were just lying around LEGO HQ, and the designers were like, oh, maybe I'll shove these on Kazani's legs, and it got approved and became an actual piece. Who knows, I'm just guessing, but maybe. Now, good whacker, the Hordika Toa designs here are pretty similar to the final versions as they were in their sets, with, you know, like little subtle changes to weapons and other slight things. It's interesting here to see that Nuju had a Mutta arm piece here. And that was later changed out, of course, for a Mutta leg piece on the final set. Now, honestly, I prefer the way that they've got the zip cord attachment going here. The fact that it points downwards, because, you know, when you look at the final set, the way that it just sort of protruded out of the front of the torso, it's a little bit odd. But, you know, maybe they had to change this up because the way you pulled it, maybe the discs were just like flying into kids' hands, which could have been a, you know, safety issue, or it was just annoying because it's like, oh, well, it's not going to fly anywhere because it's hit my arm. So, you know, I'm sure that was for safety reasons, or they had good reason to do so, but I think I prefer the positioning here. Now, one more notable change is Wenua's eyes and his mask. He has the same mask as Onwa, but in black, and both Onwa and Wenua, they had orange eyes. Interesting stuff. Now, a couple more images of prototype Hordika, you know, more fun mask changes, but this Matau Hordika prototype, wow. Look at the difference here. Oh, what a strange head design, and look how low it sits on the body as well. I love this design. It's really testing the limits of how mutated they can make the Hordika look. Because, you know, the whole concept of the Hordika was that they were mutated Toa that were deformed and infected by Visorak venom. So it's lovely to see the designers finding out what the boundaries are for how mutated they can make the Toa look. And I feel like they were definitely doing that here. But, you know, they certainly struck a nice balance with the final model. And we've got a lot more images of prototype Hordika, and this one is rad. Honestly, it looks nothing like a Toa. It looks far more like a bad guy and is in a completely different direction to anything else that we ever saw with Bionicle. And I really appreciate the bravery of this design. Really trying things out, going totally different, totally crazy. It's always such a good thing in the creative process. Because now you can look at this and go like, okay, too far in a different direction. Let's try something else. But we can take these ideas and apply them to the final model. And there's certainly little elements here like the thinner limb design, areas of the face, the fact that the disc is on the back, that certainly would have carried over into the final model. So yeah, don't be afraid when you're building your own Bionicle mocks to do something totally out there and different. It might just turn out awesome. But yeah, this almost chicken-like design, we can see it a bit more here on this full body image. It's just sort of off there in the corner. That's great. And honestly, it'd probably be easy enough to build something quite similar to this with existing pieces. It's a great design. And then there's this cool helicopter drone vehicle down here at the bottom. I wonder what the plan was for this one. We didn't really see any vehicles come out of Bionicle for a few more waves of Bionicle sets. So I don't know, maybe this was like an early Rahi concept, or just, I don't know, something that never progressed into a final set. Or maybe they accidentally left a Technic set on the table, who knows? Still, it looks cool. Oh, I wonder if they were maybe playing with the Ratuka spinners as helicopter blades or something, and then they're like, it doesn't quite work. That'd be cool, especially if we got like larger Ratuka spinners like that. Interesting. We can see some more early Visorak designs, maybe. I have no idea what this is. But I love the visual imagery of this like spider-like creature carrying around these spherical canisters. Yeah, whether these canisters are like eggs or pods with masks in them or weapons, I don't know, but they look cool. And again, the rough idea of this, you could probably build it with existing pieces. Now this table here's got some really fun stuff going on. We can see Visorak designs that are quite close to the finished model, but they're playing with how big they want the limbs to be. Hey, a giant-sized Visorak or a Titan Visorak, that would have been cool to be honest. Although I'm sure they were just, doing some of the final touches to how the final set would look. This wasn't a Titan Visorak concept. Or it was, who knows? There also appears to be an early version of Rudaka back there. She seems to have a lot more black in her design, which was later changed to having a bit more silver introduced. And I don't know, it's a little bit too low quality of an image to see any other details here. Remember, this is a very old photo from the mid-2000s, so the quality's not so great. Oh, and this one's wild. It's actually a prototype version of Kitongu, apparently. And yeah, looks nothing like Kitongu. I would argue, honestly, the mask design looks a lot more like Redak's mask. If you told me this was a Paraka prototype, I'd believe you. But yeah, interesting to see that they totally changed this up and basically did nothing that was similar to this. Which I think was a good call because Kitongu had such a distinct, unique look to him that was unlike anything else. So I'm glad they went that direction, and I'm very glad they went for the yellow color scheme or Kitorange color scheme on Kitongu. And hey, we can also see a few cut up Bionicle pieces here making up some of these interesting pieces. Love to see LEGO modifying and cutting pieces like this. Go design team. Oh, and if you thought you'd seen everything of the Hordika prototypes, nope, there's a couple more. This dude looks like a grunt from Halo, to be honest, more so than a Toa Hordika, but hey, I love the huge amount of armor pieces on the torso. This cool, smooth armor vibe, it's quite satisfying. It does feel a little bit more like a Galador set more so than a Bionicle set, but I can still get behind it, I like this. But changing things up a bit from this design was the right choice. Although I do like all these wires poking out of the weapon and then feeding into the back. Plus the idea of taking this Metru head, flipping it upside down, painting it silver, and then adding some eyes, slapping those onto the side. That's a surprisingly good looking head design. And hey, you could do that with existing pieces. Now we also got some Visorak sets on display here. I assume it's some sort of showcase or a toy fair. But look at this, a silver Visorak body piece. Ooh, very exciting. Of course, it later became white, so that was a, prototype, or they hadn't quite finished that one yet or something. But a silver Visorak body piece would have been awesome, especially since we got a gold Visorak body piece on some of the system Bionicle play sets. Yeah, having the pair, both gold and silver, that would have been great. And hey, while we're talking about those system play sets, we do have some prototype images of those as well. This image here of the Battle of Metru-Nui shows another silver Visorak, as well as some tiny little Visorak but in yellow. Interesting color choice, because of course the final ones weren't yellow. I wonder if that was more of a placeholder or if they were in fact considering to make these yellow. That would have been interesting. Also, this giant mask has some gaps on the side, and the final one did not have those gaps. Oh man, the Battle of Metru-Nui was such a good set. I adored this as a kid, played with it for hours. It's a pleasure to see some of the different stages of development for this set. And then the wonderful set, the Tower of Toa, had some other changes. The big black mask was actually dark green at one point. I actually quite like this dark green look and some of the other nice green highlights all throughout this tower. It makes it look a bit more like overgrown and old with moss growing on it or something. I think that was actually a good addition. It's also worth noting that in this image they did not have the iconic gold Visorak here with the beautiful gold Krakan piece. Although if you're looking for a noticeable enemy in this set, maybe you can look at this next prototype image, and I'll say it, this is my favorite ever prototype image. I adore this, I wish this was real, I love this so much. We could have got a Toa-sized Kitongu in this set. Of course, they made him Toa-sized so he could kind of fit in with the scale of these minifigure, Bionicle characters. Oh, I love this so much. Could you imagine getting a Metru body piece and all those beautiful Metru armor pieces in Kitorange? That would have been so good. And people would have totally taken Dekar's mask and put it over the top of that Metru body piece and made their own cool custom yellow looking Toa. Ah, what could have been, man. That would have been amazing. I love the look of this prototype set so much. Now the Visorak Battle Ram, that also had a pretty cool prototype. This was less of a battle ram and more of like an actual creature. And check out this cool silver Vakama Hordika mask. Giant horn coming out of the head. It's a little bit different, especially because the final version of that Metru Vakama headpiece did not have that horn sticking out of it. So yeah, I guess they were contemplating doing that at some point. Also, the idea of tiny Visorak coming out of the body of this larger creature, that's super cool, but also kind of gross at the same time. Maybe that's why they changed it to the final product in the end. We also have images of this play set, which never became an actual set. Sadly, the photos here are very low quality, so it's kind of hard to see what's going on. It's some kind of like larger fortress. Maybe it doubled as a board game as well, or something. I don't know what it is, but it does look cool. And finally, we got a nice image of prototype Iruni. Not much of a difference here, except the early shield design was a bit more flat and smooth, and later they added in some more like crevices and nice details to the shield, which was the right choice, I think. But who cares about that? This one's amazing. We could have had a totally chrome silver Bionicle character. That would have been the greatest LEGO set of all time. Now look, I'm sure the reason they didn't do this was because chrome pieces, well, they chip very easily, and chrome pretty easily comes off. You saw it with other existing chrome pieces at the time. And you know, the way the ball joint system works on Bionicle sets, every one of those chrome pieces would instantly get scratched the moment you move those ball joints. It just wouldn't be possible for these pieces to be chromed and for them to not get chipped instantly. So I'm sure that's the reason that they scrapped this, although I don't know, maybe they could have just left the like armor pieces and the mask in chrome and then changed all the limbs and the body to dark green or whatever. That would have been cool. I don't know, man, I just wish we had chrome Bionicle pieces, well, more of them. There was like one chrome Bionicle piece. I adore chrome as a color. I wish more pieces these days came in chrome. It's so beautiful. This would have been amazing. So cool to look back on early prototypes like this, isn't it? And so there you go. That's it for a bunch of Hordika era Bionicle prototype images. Hopefully some of these gave you some ideas and inspiration for your own future Bionicle characters. There's a lot of great ideas here. And even if they didn't, it's nice to take a look at what could have been. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now.